Hello, Center for Hope Counseling family. Want to welcome you to our very first video where we get to plunge into the deep about things pertaining to our mental health and pertaining to our emotions in our lives. I love what I do. I love being a counselor. I love being a therapist, whatever word you want to use. It's interchangeable. A lot of people have questions. They're like, Teacher, if I go and find a counselor, what should I expect the first day? Well, the first day of therapy usually includes figuring out what's going on, what we call your presenting problem. Sometimes that does change and it evolves. By session 3, we're like, oh, well, you came in here about one thing, but we actually need to plunge a bit deeper into this. And so that does change. But for the first day, you can know that we're going to establish with you your treatment plan, where you're headed, and then the objectives, how you get where you want to go. And so if a person says, Deidre, I'm experiencing some social anxiety, well, we are going to talk about that and to discuss what about the social environments make you anxious, and what do we need to put in place to make sure that you or at least to work on you being less anxious in social settings. There are so many stigmas about or so many misconceptions about therapy on a whole. And I would like to address some of them, because some people feel like you're going to be asked to lay down on the couch and we're going to put you into some like trance where you don't know. No, I'm like, no, you're not. This is a conversation between a real human being and yourself, someone who will at times laugh with you and sometimes even cry with you, depending on what you're sharing. It is possible that your therapist can be so attuned and so maybe, I guess, touched by your experience that maybe they can shed a tear, or sometimes they can feel like, wow, they can express to you your story is painful to hear. Sometimes people think that therapists we're just going to sit there like this, and no matter what you tell us, that we're not going to have any facial expressions, or we're not going to feel deeply with you. It is very possible that when you speak to your therapist, they are going to have a natural human reaction or response. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to share something with us and we're like, whoa, like what? Like you did that? No, you should not experience that. But it is possible that if you tell us something that's very painful and very dear to you, that we could have a facial expression that looks like this. Like, wow. And we can say, I'm so sorry that you experienced that. That is really difficult to hear. Some of the things that you can also expect is that we're going to ask you questions about your family history. We want to know about your social support. We want to know if you have good friends. We want to know what you do for fun. Some of that you have already filled out in your intake forms, but we want to know about your journey and how much of this journey are you going to have support with, because therapy can be it can be involving emotionally, because you're going to be rehashing things that are painful. Sometimes you're going to be talking about things that produce anxiety or that bring a feeling of depression. And we want to know, what is your social support like? What do you do to deal with stress? How do you cope with stress? What are your coping skills? Just to be able to know going forward what you can use for your own therapeutic journey to strengthen you, to encourage you, to inspire you. Also, day 1, we are definitely interested in establishing how often we want to meet. So usually for the first maybe few sessions, maybe the first 4, it's good to meet weekly, and then you can probably start spacing it out to every 2 weeks, depending on what you're working through, right? So everyone is different. Every therapeutic experience is different, but you can definitely expect for your counselor to probably want to see you weekly for the first little while, and then start to space it out after that. This is probably the one profession where we don't mind being fired, because it means that you have met your therapeutic goals. It means that you have made some strides and that you feel you are where you want to be. And as your therapist and as a counselor, we also are keeping notes, we're keeping track of your progress and things like that, especially with the various objectives that we have. If we have 3 objectives, in other words, if we have 3 ways of tackling one issue, then we want to keep track of how these things are going. At the end of the day, therapy is your space. It is, and I tell my clients this all the time, this is your space to be transparent, to be honest, and where you're not going to be judged, and where you're just going to have someone to talk to. You have an entire hour where you know that it's your designated time to just share, and we want to be with you on that journey. So catch us in our next video right here at Center for Hope Counseling on YouTube, same place, Center for Hope Counseling, and wherever you have all your social media experiences, Center for Hope Counseling is where you can find more content, and we hope that you will join us in our next video. Feel free to share, and as we go along this journey of mental health and emotional well-being. See you next time.